YouTube? Man, it is a glorious day here in Texas. The sun is shining. Weather is sweet. Makes you want to move your dancing feet. So, figure this morning we'll have a conversation about these progressive 444s that I put on. So last week I did a video about the install of my progressives. And, kind of a cool thing happened. I had just a random event pop up where I had the opportunity to go camping. I had some plans to do some riding anyway this past weekend. I was going to go out to LaGrange, but some stuff came up, and that ended up actually not being able to be something I could go do. And then all of a sudden, I had to cancel that trip with my friends. And then all of a sudden, all that stuff that I had to do, went away. And then I had another opportunity pop up where I could go camping. And I've always wanted to do some motorcycle camping on this bike. And, so I also thought, boy, this is definitely going to be a true test for these progressive 444s. So, last week in the video, when I left, I'd said I was going to go and then set my sag. So I ended up setting my sag and got all that squared away. And if you've never set sag, it's not complicated. It just requires another person to kind of help you kind of get the sag set properly, because you need someone to take measuring points, and you need someone to kind of help you lift the bike, the rear end, to kind of pull the suspension up. Anyway, there's lots of videos out there on how to do proper sag setting on shocks. If you look at some of the YouTube videos that Dave Moss have put together, he does a fantastic video on how to properly set your suspension, and specifically sag. Anyway, I got my sag set. So I weigh roughly 195, 200 pounds. So let's just call it 190, between 190 and 200. And when I finally set my sag, I found out that for me to reach the proper amount of sag on my bike, I had to make these 444s pretty soft. I actually had to make it such that, get out of here. I actually had to make it such that there was only one ring left on the sag itself before it was, fully soft. So that was actually kind of exciting, because I do know that I'm going to be throwing on more gear and more stuff on this bike. So that was pretty good. The sag setting for 444s is between 0.75 and 1.25 inches. And with that setting, I hit it dead on at 0.75. I could have made them a little bit softer. Actually, I could have made them all the way soft. But I chose not to, because I knew I was gonna add more stuff onto the bike. Anyway, so I got the sag set. I went out and did a quick ride and immediately noticed the difference. It was soaking up the bumps. I was not getting, chittered around all the time. So anyway, enter the camping scene. I'll throw a picture up right now of what my bike looked like when it was loaded down. I'm a pretty light camper. I didn't bring a whole lot, some camping gear, a tent, all my gear and all my clothes and all that stuff fit in a Saddlemen 1300 roll bag. But I got it all strapped in, and when I tested the sag on with all of that stuff on, it was perfect. So great. So we set out on the trip. We did approximately between 500 and 550 total miles. And we rode out to the Frio Canyon area in Texas. We rode some 3 roads out there that are pretty popular in the state of Texas, called the 3 Twisted Sisters. So it's FM 336, 337, and 335, I believe. But anyway, Rode those suckers all day Saturday. We did all 3 sisters on Saturday, and that was a few hundred. That was like 200 and something miles. And it was a lot of twisties. Good Lord, that is there's parts of that road that are crazy technical. But the shocks, the rear suspension was heaven. I was super comfortable the whole way. The only pain I started getting was kind of in my upper right shoulder. And that was because, of constantly being on the throttle. I had a kind of a throttle assist thing on here that did okay, but there was so much traffic out this weekend because of so many people are out that the main roads and kind of the little byways that we were using to get out there, like you just really couldn't use cruise or anything like that. So I was constantly on the throttle, off the throttle, on the throttle, off the throttle. So I am chalking that pain up to that. Anyway, so the progressives held up fantastically. I mean, all the little bumps I would hit, it was nothing. Even when the bike was loaded, it was like it was nothing. It was a freaking different bike altogether. I mean, it was amazing how much more comfortable it is with these things on. So I highly recommend, if you're having that comfort issue, that you look into that. Now, I also highly recommend that you consider your weight. If you are lighter than I am, unless you are carrying a passenger all the time, I don't think you're going to be able to set the progressives sag properly. So I would suspect that if you are light, let's say 175 or south, or 180 or south, and you're riding the bobber, I don't think these 444s will work for you. I think you'll end up having an issue where it's probably just as hard as the stock suspension. So what you potentially could do is go one version of the progressives down to the 413s. I gotta turn up here, and you may find that will work for you. So keep your weight in mind. Anyway, I'm not here. I'm almost to work. So if you guys like this video, you thought it was helpful, give me that subscribe, likey, thumbs up stuff. Tell your friends, come visit, and listen to all the knowledge bombs that I'm dropping on you from my mistakes and what I'm learning as I make my bobber my own. And we'll see you next time. Peace.